Okay. Hi guys. Today we're going to talk about migrant workers that are making their way to the Tijuana border. So, when I first see this topic, I was asked the question of, what do we do about this? What are we supposed to do about all the people trying to come over? And my answer to the question was that I feel that we need to make sure to, try our best and do everything that we possibly can to make sure that no one crosses the border illegally because, in my opinion, it's not fair or right for all the people who, actually took the time and are here legally, who went through the whole process so that they could, come and have a better life and start a new life. Um, did any of you kind of know what was happening when it first started?
I personally didn't really. I know Dr. Stone said that something recently just happened, but I'm actually not that familiar with it.
Okay.
I just know that like I heard a bunch of professors talking about like thousands of people were like lining up at the border and stuff, but I wasn't really sure what happened.
Yeah, that's basically what's happening. So, this whole thing started around like the middle of October, and it was kind of said that they were, quote, turned by President Trump into a campaign issue in the US midterm elections. So it's like that's honestly what I've heard, like that it's like kind of like a political thing. Like just anyone I've talked to about it or heard about this from, like even like talking to my husband, like it just seems like it's just a big political thing going on, basically.
So what you're saying is they're basically trying to make a statement.
Yeah, basically. That's my opinion, and that's what I've heard about it, is that they're, yeah, trying to make like a statement about it and like a big thing. Like, because I also heard, I like read on an article or whatever that, Trump was talking about it, and then all of a sudden, the second the election stopped, like, no one really heard much else from Trump about it. So it's basically just seeing what people would do about it.
Well, I mean, obviously, like, we were talking to Dr. Stone about it, I agree with what she had said about it, which is that, we should protect our borders and we have the right to do that, just like any other country has the right to do that and to not allow people in um, unless they go in through the proper way. But, you know, I don't exactly know what would happen if, you know, there's only so much you can do without using force. And that's where the problem would be at, is if we had to use force to keep people out. Because obviously you don't want to hurt anybody, but I
Plus,
mean,
in bad, and like I feel like start a war and like just crazy stuff happen.
I mean, I don't necessarily think it would start a war, but like it would look very bad. But at the same time, you have the right to protect the borders of your country and to not allow anyone in who hasn't gone through the right way, because then you never know. They could be dangerous. I mean, there's dangerous people in our country as it is, people who are from here, and then you add on people who are coming in that we don't even know. And, it's like you don't you, like if somebody tried to break into your house, I mean, they don't just get to break into your house and then tell you how everything's going to work. It just doesn't work that way. And if someone were to try to, you would get rid of them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't really know how to handle a situation like that.
Yeah, it's tough.
Especially when there's not really, it seems like there's not a good reason for this to be happening. You know what I mean? It's not like, from what you have said and what I've heard, it is a political statement. So, like, how do you handle that? Like, how you don't know how far they're going to take it, which I mean, obviously they're taking it pretty far if they're all walking all the way to our border trying to come in, but I mean, I don't know. Like,
Yeah. Um,
I don't know how you'd handle that because it's not like there's a good reason for them to come here. Like, there's a war or something, and they're looking for shelter and a place that's safe, but that's not the issue. The issue is trying to make a statement, and so um, I have no idea how you would approach that.
yeah, it's crazy. Like most of my information I got was like, who knows what's all true and what's not or whatever. Because I mostly got it just from like newspaper articles from like CBS and stuff like that. And like one of the articles I read was they talked about how thousands of migrants had gathered in Mexico City Stadium because they were trying to decide, what to do. And apparently they like stayed there for a few days to rest and get the medical attention they needed, and then to figure out how they would proceed with the difficult and tiring trek they still had left to go. Like that was their words, that it was so difficult and tiring that they still had so much left to go and like so much farther to go. And like the way it sounds is like the way they're talking about it is like they want us to feel sorry for them that they're having to make this like long hard journey to get to the United States. So like it doesn't really make sense to me.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
does
it's not like something you have to do. It's
something you've chosen to do because you wanted to make a statement.
exactly. And it's just like the way they talked about it just made it seem like, poor me having to do all this. And
I mean, at this point, I don't really think that, there's making a statement with the intent of making a change that is needed and that will be good, and then there's making a statement because you're mad and you don't like something. And that's life. You're going to get mad, you're going to not like things that people say. There's going to be people who are in charge who may be higher ups that you're not going to like, and you know if they're really bad, do you want them to stay in power? No. But I mean, if as of now it's already said and done, and then you have people from that who aren't even in our country who are getting angry about the person in charge and their opinions or what they think are this person's opinions, and you know you don't even live in this country, so I mean, I don't know why they're so mad about it, but
what is it hurting you?
um I mean, I understand why people would be angry about um just I mean, it's racism in a way. I mean, a lot of people feel like Trump is a very racist person, and from some of the things that he's said and done, it really does make him look like a racist person, and he may very well be, but um regardless, he is the president, it's already been determined that he's the president, and the only thing that can be done about that is he could be impeached, but I don't see that happening at this point. So, it's kind of like, deal with it. I mean, a lot of people, and I think one of the things is that a lot of people think that he has so much power, but really he doesn't. A lot of the power falls with Congress. So if people are mad, they should be mad at them
Yeah.
for not doing something about it,
I'm not the wrong person.
He's just the person that stands up and on behalf of the whole entire country, and who speaks on behalf of us. I mean,
Yeah. But that, like, the news report I read, like, it talked about how, like, in previous other caravans that have attempted to do the same thing, that by the time they had eventually made it to the border, that there were only about 200 people that had made it. Like, do you think that, like, the same thing could happen this time, possibly? Like, people just be like, this is because they're complaining about how it's hard and tiring. Like, think they could just be like, oh, well, I guess it's just tiring, and I'm done, and I'm over it, and I just want to, like, go lay in my bed and relax and it'll be okay.
yeah, I think a lot of people are going to do that. I mean, when you think about it, you're coming from a whole other country. You don't even live in this country. And, I mean, in the fact that this is being brought out as a racism issue, then I can see how it could apply to them a little bit, but not enough for them to march all the way to our border and say, we're coming in. We're just, I think a lot of people are just really mad, and that eventually they're going to be like, maybe this is not the best idea. I think I'm going to go home.
Right.
I think people have just gotten so wound up over things like that.
Yeah, and it keeps building and building.
Yeah, and you have the media stirring it up.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, I understand the racism aspect of it, but as far as coming all the way to our border, I don't understand what is in it for them. I mean, it doesn't seem like anything's gonna happen.
Yeah. I just think it's funny because, like, with them, like, just complaining about how tired they are, like, they're, like, requesting that, buses take them to the U.S. border because it's too hard and dangerous to continue the walking and hitchhiking. Like, it kind of makes me laugh in a way.
Yeah.
Because, like we just said.
I mean, it sounds like some kind of joke that somebody has made up. It doesn't even sound real.
Like, it literally brings me back to what we just talked about. Like, you chose to do this. Like, you chose to go to the border. But now you're, like, requesting that, like, buses come and pick you up and drive you the rest of the way.
I mean, it's one thing if you're going to pay for that bus to pick you up and drive you the rest of the way, but just to request it and be like, hey, you should give me a ride to the border. No, that's not how this works.
It's crazy. Like, with them talking also about how, like, it's scary because they're, like, dangerous. I mean, I see that and, like, how they want buses and stuff to pick them up. Because, like, I've read that, so many people have been reported missing since, like, this whole thing has gone on. Like, whether, I don't know, like, be like they just disappeared or they try and, like, hitch a ride from like hitch a ride from like a truck or something, and that truck ends up going, you know, the wrong way, and they end up getting lost. But I can see where it can be dangerous, but you chose. It's you. It's on you.
I also think that it would cause issues. I mean, which is one of the reasons why people are for like the immigrants, but like support illegal immigrants even, just because, you know, they marched all the way to the border. Like obviously their life sucks. So how is it how are we as Americans going to turn down any one human individual, regardless American or not? Doesn't that go against, you know, like this land is made for you and me? Like I take that as like, yeah, that sucks, but like almost like yes, too bad. But then at the same time, it's like, how are we just supposed to deny people who need help, who are in trouble? But I I'm completely for immigration legally. Um, I think that there's rights and wrongs to every situation, and I think that it definitely causes a lot of issues, for, you know, just it's a humanity issue. How could you send these people, women, children, and families back to Mexico? How could you deny their entry? Um, and it's almost like, can't they just like hang out for a few days and study some study some like English or something, and get their citizenship or whatever, and then like maybe they can come? I don't know. It's not fair to have busloads of people come in and you know, have advantages over hardworking Americans. I completely agree with that, and I completely understand. I'm just trying to bring up the perspective of, on the flip side of that, that makes us look pretty bad if we just stamp down and say, nope, you're not allowed to come in here. And I think that other countries would be quicker to do that, but I think as Americans, and the, you know, we hold ourselves to a higher standard, and it's supposed to be, you know, the best country and all that. You know, what does that say about us, that we just, you know, are denying these people? So I think that that's a lot of the argument. Again, I'm not saying I'm one way or the other. I mean, I'm definitely not in support of illegal immigrants whatsoever. I think that definitely the legal way is the right way. It just makes sense. So, but yeah, I just think that definitely stirs up some issues of, how could we just do that to people, and send them back into danger, like we were talking about, because obviously Mexico isn't the safest place on earth. So if they're walking miles and miles, obviously if they're taking that leap, and that leap of faith to leave their lives and come over, obviously, like we say it in class, their life must really suck. So do we say too bad, see ya? Or do we say, you know, you can come over, but you have X amount of time? Again, I'm not as educated on illegal immigration, so I'm not entirely sure, but like, do we say, yes, come over and you have X amount of time to, you know, gain your citizenship or whatever? And then if not, then you have to go back, you know? I don't know if that's a thing, but maybe something like that would be effective. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely think it brings up a humanity issue when we're denying people. So I just wanted to throw that in there.
I mean, yeah, it sucks we have to like turn people down, but like, I don't know. It just, I don't know. It just doesn't seem fair, in my opinion. Just because there are those people that have lived here for so long, doing it legally, and even, I can't remember who said it in class, but someone said that like it was Ashley talked about how she asked someone how they felt about people illegally coming here, and they said that like it's not fair and it upsets them, and because they did do what they needed to do to get here legally. And I just don't think people can afford, like everyone can afford to like legally move here, because like Dr. Stone said, she said it like it costs, like you have to have so much money in Mexico to even like prove that like you can like get your like green card or whatever to like come over to the United States. So, but anyways,
I think that they should be very, cautious in who they allow, but I don't think it should be so hard for people who need to get into this country to do. I mean, there's a certain amount of, like, there's certain processes that you need to go through, just like any other country, but I don't think it should be so incredibly costly.
yeah.
I mean, I think that should be changed, but, obviously you got to pay something to legally come here. I mean, for me to go to another country, I'd have to pay either way. I'd have to get my passport and all kinds of stuff just to visit another country, not let alone to live there. So, it's going to cost a good amount of money, but I do think it's a bit outrageous how much that it costs.
Yeah. I think that's one thing that should be changed as well.
And I think there's also a difference in this situation, and because, like we said, this is more of a political statement than, like, people running away from a place that's not safe. Because, I mean, or at least that's what it sounds like. From what I've heard and what Haley has said and what Dr. Stone has said about the situation, it seems like more of a political statement than anything else. And if that's the only thing that they wanted to do was make a political statement, we don't have to let them in. I mean, I see what you're saying, Casey. If they were actually in trouble, if they needed help, or they were in real danger, but if you purposely put yourself in danger to make a political statement, that's on you. So, but if you're already in danger, if you can't even live in your own country without being in danger constantly, being afraid for your life, that's totally different. Totally different.
And like that's a thing though, like there's it like I just learned this today, but like there's like it's called asylum requests. And what it is like if you asylum requests, so like a way of getting this approved to come to the United States, you have to prove in some way that you have a fear of persecution in the country that you're from. So you have to like prove that like something bad could happen to you, and then you could get like citizenship or whatever. Like you could be allowed to come to the United States, but you just have to be able to prove that that's happening. But one of the things that's, oh my goodness, one of the things that is happening right now is I read that, authorities have started to, quote, harden the border crossing. Which means that, like, they're making it harder for people to, like, oh my gosh. So the way they're attempting to do, like, to harden the border crossing is last week, the Trump administration, they established new measures restricting the asylum requests by denying those who cross in between ports of entry. Just because there are so many, like, ports and like ways to get into the United States, but they're saying like if you cross in between those ports, you will definitely not get it. Like you will not be able to get asylum and claim that, you know, you're in fear of your life and you're in danger. So, but the crazy thing is, which Dr. Stone brought this to my attention, and I looked up on it, and Mexico has actually offered their people work visas, which they issued to, I don't know how accurate this number is, but the number I found was 2,697 individuals got the work visas, them and their families, to cover them while all they had to do was wait the 45-day application process, and then which would eventually turn into a more permanent status. So all they had to do was wait. And a few people did take it, but majority of them turned it down and decided to just continue making their way to the United States.
And I understand, you know, if people are in danger, obviously we want to help, but at the same time, you got to think, just because we're the United States of America doesn't mean we get to play God. I mean, you know, some people may not believe in God, some people may, but I mean it more as a figure of speech. We don't get, just because we're the United States doesn't mean that, even if we think more highly of ourselves than other people, than other countries, you know, there's a limit. You can only do so much.
Yeah.
Before you're hurting your own country trying to help other people, you know? I mean, obviously, do we want to help other people? Absolutely. I think we should, but there's a limit.
Yeah. And it's like, stuff even still happens in the United States. Like, mass murders happen all the time. Like, not all the time, but like mass murders, they happen in the United States. Like, just because you move here doesn't mean you're like safe from everything. And like, it's not really gonna, I don't really know how much it'll affect you and like really make your life that much better. If that makes
I
sense.
think that if you focus on trying to help everybody else, it leads to your own downfall eventually. Do you want to help people when you can? Yeah. Are you going to be able to help everyone all the time? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You know,
You have to look up for your own people too. So like that just really even made me think like, so are they really coming here like for the jobs and like a better opportunity, or like political statement? That's just what I think of. But I found out that on Sunday, like the 11th, about 80 people had already made it to the border. And then by Tuesday, 360 people showed up. And then on Wednesday, 300 people showed up. So, like, there's already 740 people at the border. And there's still supposed to be at least 2 more caravans on their way. Like, that's a lot of people trying to make their way to the border. So we're just supposed to let all those hundreds of thousands of people come into our state, like, or come into our country, like, that just seems crazy to me. Especially because it said that Like officials in Tijuana have even announced that they are worried that the border city will not be able to cope with this. Like, but so far, what the United States has done is they have troops stationed there right across the border, and they have put out, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm saying this right, but concertina wire, which is like a type of barbed wire. And they put the like that barbed wire stuff up. They put barricades up and fences along the border. And then the U.S. Customs and Border Protection have also decided that it would be a good idea if they closed 4 of the lanes at the San Ysidro and Otay Mesa border crossings.
I mean, considering the amount of people that are trying to come in all at once, it seems kind of harsh, but I honestly think that all of them should be turned down because you can't, it's not fair for, if there is something, say there is, it's more than a political issue. It's more than just jobs or whatever. When you have that many people coming in, even if they're in, unless they're in like danger of like they stay in their homes, they're gonna die because of war or something, you know. Unless it's that type of situation, when you have that many people trying to come to our country at the same time, I mean, how are you going to sit there and say, okay, you can come in, no, you can't. You can come in, no, you guys can't. Sorry, we can't help you. That's not fair. So, I mean, it kind of seems like the best thing to do would be to turn all of them away.
Yeah, and like it just sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. Like that many people just waiting there, and like literally just a disaster waiting to happen in my opinion. Cause like what are they gonna do? All just like rushing at the same time and like
It's going to look like Black Friday.
right? But it's like a good example of like Black Friday, like people just running in, like you can't stop everyone, like in a disaster sometimes.
I mean, imagine, let's look at it this way. If we did allow some people to come in and not others, do you know how much violence would come out of that? People would be fighting us, fighting each other. You know, it's better just to turn them all away unless they're in serious, immediate danger.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah. And like it's just like one of the stories I read, it talked about how like there was someone and they were so excited, you know, they finally reached the border and they run to the border and then I don't know how, like it didn't really tell me how, but all it said is like somehow he accidentally fell to the other side of the border, realized what had happened, looked around and quickly got up and got back to the right side of the border. Like that just seems weird to me. How like he knew instantly, like I don't need to be over here.
Yeah.
But then also had me thinking, like, you know, had he stayed on the other side and like, I don't know, try to make a run for it, like what do you think should have happened? Like, you know, should it be like, oh well, it's just one person, it'll be okay, or, you know, God forbid, shoot them or arrest them? Like, I don't know. What do you think? Anyone?
Well, it's hard to say what would actually happen because, I've never seen anybody like try to cross into the border, so I don't know what would happen. And like you watch movies about like that, and in the movies people get shot, and I don't know that that's actually what happens, or if it depends on the situation, or I don't know. I
Right.
mean, like that's what I was saying earlier. Like I don't know how you would handle that, because obviously you don't want to kill anybody, but
Yeah.
you have to protect your borders. You can't just let strangers say, "Okay, we're coming into your house, and you're gonna deal with it, and you're gonna let us stay here. Thanks, bye." You know, you can't just. That can't happen.
And it's just like with the military, like they're trained, like if I'm getting like if I'm getting what my husband was saying like correctly, like they're taught, you do not shoot unless you're shot at. Or unless you're in like your life is in danger, you do not shoot. So therefore I don't think they would shoot anyone. Probably maybe just like arrest them and get them back to across the border. But then I gotta think like, okay, that's one person, but it's still hard to like try and think about and picture, what they would do if all these people at the same time came rushing in. You don't have enough people to arrest them all.
I mean, the only thing they could do in that situation is try to increase border patrol, and it would be kind of like when there's a riot, only like much more massive scale, but I still don't see how they're even going to be successful even with that.
Yeah. That's just something I found like kind of like crazy. Just crazy to think about. Does anyone else have any comments or anything they would like to say?
Can you try to call Colby?
I think.
Hello?
Haley, do you have
Sorry,
anything else to say, or any other points that you wanted to bring up or anything?
No, that's basically all I really had.
Okay. Yeah, because it's almost 5. I don't know if you guys saw Ashley's text, but she's I don't think it's like working out for her, but I think it's good that we still went and it's recorded, so like we can show Dr. Stone and all that good stuff. But if you don't have any other points that you want to bring up, or no one wants to say anything else, I think we're good.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you.